Welcome to The Flight, a consumable curation of champions and catastrophes that is considerate of your chronometer. I am your co-host, Chris Copleen, today on this fantastic voyage where we are going to be talking about the dead series and video games that we would like to bring back. Shane, I'm happy to have you here today. It is my delight to have the most informative you that could be here to provide us with a list of dead series that we both want back and we can enjoy. So Shane, over to you, Mr. Dick Dragon.
Oh, well, thank you, Chris. That's much appreciated. I'm very excited to be here today on the show. I'm looking forward to discussing game-related necromancy, such as it is.
Yes, we all want to raise the dead. We all want to raise the dead for video games, I mean, not the literal dead. Not like your pet cat in a pet cemetery. That wouldn't be very entertaining. We want to keep Kitty dead. And probably everyone that's dead, they should probably stay dead because you don't want them coming back and all rotting and stuff like that. But video games, they don't rot, at least unless they're discs.
Unless we're talking about
where are we going
rot.
with this?
I don't know. We're going to see how far we can take that NPR bit, but I think that's it right there.
I killed it, not to be revived.
That's right. Much like the cat.
Much like the cat. So, Shane, we have another flight episode. Our subject today, as I've already said, is game series we would like to see be revived, that we consider dead, and we'd like to see come back.
Yes.
So, yeah, this was suggested by our patrons, and I actually think this is a really good topic, and they all voted on it, and they said, please make this episode for the flight, and you too can do similar things if you go to linktr.ee/retrohangover if you are so inclined to join, first of all, our Discord, which is open to everyone in the public. But if you want to suggest topics and you want to vote on them, you can find them at our Patreon, which is at that Linktree link. But if you don't want to go to Linktree, and because you don't want to see our OnlyFans, giggity, which we don't have, by the way.
I don't know why you wouldn't, but I mean, okay.
I know.
Fine.
Right. You should want to. I mean, see Shane's luscious locks of hair and everything he does with them.
Yes, but please consider checking out our OnlyFans exclusive ASMR content.
Where he rubs his hair in certain places up against a microphone. But you can go there at patreon.com/retrohangover, and you too can vote and suggest topics. So hope to see you around, or you can just enjoy this content. Everything is fine. So Shane, over to you. What we got?
Yeah, let's see. Who did I start off last episode? The last flight, was that me? I think it was me.
It was you.
Okay, it was me. Well, in that case, I guess that means Chris should probably kick us off here. So just before we start that off, just a little disclaimer, at least in my own mind, as far as I considered this when I was putting this list together, it's not that they're necessarily only dead series or franchises, but it could be series or franchises that did get perhaps relatively recent entries that maybe just really sucked shit, and we just want a better thing. That's where I went with some of this, but that might just be me. But we're gonna find out. So Chris, what's starting your list off?
Number 5.
So when I was making this list, I went even deeper. I tried to think of series that didn't even have like re-releases that just came out, because you see a lot of those recently, like, oh, here's the blank collection, or here's the blank remaster, which is the same game with better graphics. So I tried my best. If I'm wrong on this, just let me know. I'm fine with that. So for my number 5, I'm going to say the Soldier series, which usually is predicated by Star Soldier, which is a series of shmups which are utterly fantastic. And I think the last time we saw a new Soldier game was on the Nintendo 64, and that game was not very good. They were trying to bring the Soldier series into the 3D arena, and it was incredibly simple. I think I beat the game the first time I played it on normal difficulty, and I like shmups. I'm just not extremely good at shmups. So for me to go in there and just like roll over this game was... yeah, it's not the best indicator of quality, maybe, in terms of difficulty or challenge, which is a shmup's penchant. That's what a lot of shmups hang their hat on. So you got to go to the Soldier series. Mainly that was on the TurboGrafx 16. And they're just, I think it was almost exclusively on the TurboGrafx 16. And I would just love to see a new release in that game, especially with a kind of a modern resurgence of shmups. The Alesta series has seen some new games. And for Soldier to come back, I think that would be great. I know Konami technically owns it, and which means it's never coming back. And if it does, it's going to be incredibly bastardized like Contra or some shit. So we need to have a game that's actually good, actually really takes in consideration good design for a shmup, which I don't think is incredibly outside the realm, especially of possibility. Especially, like I said, Alesta and Cotton have gotten new games with new releases, and you're seeing a lot of retro-inspired shmups out there. And I will shout out the YouTube channel Shmup Junkie, because he does fantastic videos on more modern shmups that you should check out. Also, Bullet Heaven, because I love shmups. I might not be the best at them, but we need more of them. I know this is the only shmup on this list, but I'd love to see the Soldier series make a resurgence, much like the shmup genre itself. Bring them back, please. I would love to see it. Shane, over to you for your number 5.
All right, so it's funny that you mentioned Contra, because that I was going back and forth on including that in my list. Ultimately, I did not, but it almost made it here because, God, can we just? Is it so much to ask for just a good Contra game? Apparently, it is. But anyway, it's not what we're here for.
Too much.
So my number 5 is Quake. And yes, I know there are a ton of boomer shooters out there these days. You know, you got Painkiller, Dusk, Serious Sam, Ion Fury. The list goes on and on and on, and those are all fantastic. But none of them that I can think of anyway. And actually, I even went and poked around like Steam lists and things to see if I could find something I wasn't aware of, and I didn't really come across quite what I was looking for. So nothing I can think of really captures the atmosphere of the original Quake. Like, I want a fast-paced FPS game mixed with this like ominous, like oppressive sort of medieval / supernatural, but somehow like still kind of sci-fi setting. And like, I know all these elements were thrown together into just like a bag, like a bunch of fucking Scrabble pieces and dumped on a table, because that was more or less the result of the dev team admittedly having no clear direction on the game and just kind of everybody did their own thing and then slapped it all together. But you know what? Damn it, I still liked it. And so the like Lovecraftian vibe with like the Gothic stone architecture, but also rocket launchers is just like, it's fucking cool. And I haven't really seen anything else that quite captured that same sort of aesthetic, I suppose, quite in the same way. And really, you know what? The ultimate bummer of this whole thing is even the series, the game's own fucking sequels didn't even keep to this. They pretty much immediately threw all of that out and went in a more like purely Space Marine style direction. And I think it lost something kind of special in the process. It got very genericized in my opinion. And so nowadays, the only thing anybody knows Quake for really is Arena. It's their Arena brand, and which is not, you know, Quake Arena or whatever. It's not a bad series of games whatsoever, but that's purely like sci-fi arena shooters, and that's not what I'm looking for. We have plenty of those. I want my like zombie knights and stone castles and fucking guns back, please and thank you.
Number 4.
All right, so my number 4 is Wave Race.
Oh, that's a good pick.
Where the fuck are you, Wave Race? Where are you? Nintendo. This is like a slam dunk. This is easily a slam dunk. That game was probably one of the best games on the N64, and it came out really close to launch. Then we got Blue Storm on the GameCube, and we haven't heard from it since. Like nothing at all. And it's in a world that's filled with easily accessible arcade racers. You can find them all over the place. I know there's more to them than that, but you have everything is cars. Everything you get nowadays is cars. And maybe there is some sort of jet ski weird shit out there, But I want my jet ski racer from Nintendo. I think they could do a really good job with it. It would take it out of a lot of more traditional settings, and it wouldn't be a super futuristic one if you want to deviate from the norm. I think Wave Race is way up there in terms of a game. I think would just hit kind of the right spot, especially when you focus on the tricks you can do some unlockables. Maybe you throw in don't go the Mario route. I'm so sick of Mario doing fucking every single sport. I gotta say that. I'm done with that. I was about to say put some Mario characters in. I'm like,
please,
no, don't do that.
No.
Don't do that. Please don't do that. Just make it an arcadey, fun jet ski game like you were doing back in the day. And that's all I'm asking for. Make it pretty, add some modes, do some cool things, but I want another Wave Race game. I just want it. Give it to me. I want it more than Pilot Wings, which was another game I really wanted to suggest. But I just think Wave Race would hit that spot just so much better. Right, Shane?
That's a really good pick, especially right now with like the resurgence of like, late 80s and early 90s nostalgia. Like if they leaned real hard into that and just made it like super 90s, like Saved by the Bell kind of aesthetic, man, it's a fucking slam dunk, Nintendo.
Just remake Wave Race 64.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. All right. So my number 4, it is Gauntlet. So technically, the series had a bit of a reboot in 2014. And I own that game on Steam, and I have played it with a buddy of mine, and it's not bad. But you know what? It just didn't feel quite the same. I think part of that is just because like it's not impossible, but it really sucks to play that game solo. Like they built it specifically balanced around having multiplayer. And so this feels like you were saying about Wave Race, like this just feels like such a fucking easy win too, right? Like just make another game like Gauntlet Dark Legacy. Okay. Like that's it. That's all you have to do. Like, it's so simple, and it's kind of hard to put into the right words, but there's just something that was so satisfying about the kind of grind, I guess, in Dark Legacy or like Legends or games like that, because you could just stand there, you run through these levels, you mow down waves of enemies spewing forth from these spawn locations, and then you ultimately, wreck that spawner, and it always feels good. And it's so simple, but it's just really fun to play. And like you could throw in a little extra thing in there of like, doing like upgrading your character or whatever, or different outfits or what have you. I just feel like this wouldn't be that difficult, and I don't know why nobody's done it. But I would really love this. Or you know what? Fucking even just give me an HD remake of Dark Legacy. How about that? I'll take that. That's fine.
I mean, they are coming out with Diablo 4, so.
God damn it. They're not the same, Chris.
That's not what llamas say.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Llamas are entitled to their own opinions.
Number 3.
All right, my number 3 is something I'm just going to have to say, and I do mean it, other than the fact I have to say it, but it's Lunar. Lunar needs a new game. It's been too long since they remade it on the PlayStation. There hasn't been a single game. Nope. No Lunar games since the game on the PlayStation. No games at all. Not even Songs from Dragons. They don't exist. Nothing has happened. There's just, okay, in all seriousness, yeah, I know there was a game that came out on the DS called Dragon Song, but that also was like in fucking 2004, 5.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a minute since there's been a real Lunar game that came out. I know like they remade it on the PSP and stuff, but again, there's just so much potential in this series that it just feels like it's been abandoned. And I don't know why, because they like Game Art seemed to recognize that it was a popular property enough to make the original Lunar on the GBA and the PSP. So they knew there was something there. But I think just after so many remakes, people stopped giving a shit. They want to see the story expanded. They want to see a fresh tale. And there's plenty of rooms to make a prequel. There's rooms to make sequel. There's just all sorts of potential that exists within this franchise, within the lore. And you can be super anime waifu-ish I don't think people will have to demand too much out of it. You can just use the Grandia formula, because essentially Grandia is a continuation of the Lunar series. It's just with a slightly altered battle system that's more on the active time battle side of things than what it was with Lunar, which was turn-based. I would love to see Lunar come back, and if you don't know anything about Lunar, because you haven't been watching our streams over at twitch.tv/retrohangover,
Hey.
I will have to say that you need to look into it. It's an endearing series. It's a charming series. And it's just so full of just, I don't know what the word is for it, but it's a special series to my heart. And so many fans of JRPGs. Lunar needs to come back. And he needs to come back sooner than later with an original story that doesn't fucking suck. Like, don't cause my HP to go down when I run. Please. Don't do that.
Yeah, I suppose now would be a good a time as any to throw out the honorable mention that I wanted to put in here, because it's actually fairly similar to what you were just talking about. It wasn't part of my list, so it is just an honorable mention, but I just want to put it out there that why the fuck is there nothing with Skies of Arcadia?
I mean, that's not a series.
I don't even care. Like, the point is,
I agree with
that
you, though,
like
yeah.
there should be something. Like,
It's such a good game.
That it's a great game, and the world that they built there is so interesting. And you've got like this, the steampunky kind of airship thing going on, and they could do so much with it. And I just feel like it was left behind. But anyway, make more Skies of Arcadia. Is my point.
I agree. I agree.
All right,
Har, har.
so number 3, Dead Space. Dead Space. So.
Ooh, but they're remaking it. It's coming back.
No, I don't want just a remake. That's not what I'm talking about. No, no. So the first 2 games were fantastic sci-fi horror titles. If you like either sci-fi or horror, or maybe both of them married together, if you haven't played those, you really should, because they're really good. And it basically took what Resident Evil 4 did and basically put it where no one can hear you scream. And then the third entry completely derailed the whole fucking series by also, apparently, continuing to follow in Resident Evil's footsteps by going full-on action shooter, throwing out any sense of horror whatsoever, and making it co-op. Are we seeing a pattern here? Resident Evil 5,
not bitter.
I'm looking at you. So, by the way, also bonus shitty weapon upgrade microtransactions to boot. So, yay!
Hooray! We all love
Thanks,
those.
EA. Fucking loved it. Third one notwithstanding, because that was trash, but I really think that Isaac and the entire story and lore that they built in the first 2 games deserves to have a better entry into that series. Or, like you just said, with your pick, you could do a prequel. I feel like there's a lot more material to sort of investigate there with like the markers.
Remake Extraction.
And sure, but I'm just saying, like, there's so many things that they could do, and I want more of it, because it was, those first 2 games were just so good, and I think it deserves better. So that's why Dead Space is at my number 3.
That's a great pick. Dead Space is a great franchise that, you're right, it goes underutilized.
Number 2.
All right, my number 2 is also dipping into the world of survival horror. And I have no idea why this game hasn't gotten a remake or been revisited or gotten anything. I understand that the last game that they made in this series went off on a really, really bad note. It doesn't matter. It's time for it to come back. Jurassic Park is big. Survival horror is big.
Oh, yes.
Capcom needs to bring back Dino Crisis.
Hell yeah.
Fucking what? How has this not happened? What are they doing? Like, the Resident Evil remakes have been some of the biggest announcements in all of gaming, with Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, especially Resident Evil 2. People just like, wow, look at that. And like Resident Evil 7 and 8 have done phenomenally. Capcom is just stroking it right now with the survival horror scene. Again, they have made Resident Evil the premier scary survival horror game that everyone has wanted. Except for Silent Hill fans, I'm sorry, it's not happening, and you probably don't want it if you get it. But I mean, Dino Crisis is a perfect fit. Capcom knows what they're doing again. dinosaurs are in vogue, kind of. I think they missed that window because the recent Jurassic Park movie came out and I heard it was kind of bad. But like, you could do it. It's there. It's perfect. You own the franchise. You just fucking release a high-res version of it and see how many people buy it. I'm sure someone will, because Dino Crisis is too good of an opportunity to it's too good of an opportunity to miss. You got to fucking do this. It's been just, I don't get it, man. It needs to come back. A new entry, a remake in the style that they did with the Resident Evil series. It needs to be there. And it's a crying shame. It's a crime that it's not out again.
That's a good pick. I like that one. All right. My number 2. This is actually related to some things that were said earlier, but Castlevania. Castlevania is my number 2.
Yeah. I almost picked that too.
Yeah. So so technically the last title in the Castlevania series to be released was Lords of Shadow 2 in 2014, which I'm now realizing evidently 2014 was a very important year for franchises that I care about to die, because Gauntlet that reboot was in 2014 also. So interesting timing on that. So what the fuck is Konami doing with the IP? One might ask. Pachinko, baby. That's right. Yeah, we got to make that cash money. So listen, like I get
pull the lever.
Like I get that there are a bajillion indie studios out there making a metric buttload of 2D Metroidvanias, many of which are very good, you know, but that doesn't mean that I don't still want another proper Castlevania game. And hey, you know what? I'm even open to it being like either style. I would take another solid 2D side scroller that harkens back to like the GBA and DS days. I'd be totally up for that. Or, you know what? I'd also be down for a 3D action title similar to the likes of the PS2 era games. I mean, despite what maybe some people say about those, I actually liked them. So, you know, but fucking no open worlds, please. Can we not do that? Like Elden Ring nailed it, but that's kind of an anomaly. Like because I know that if Konami or whoever the fuck they get to work on this were to try to do an open world thing, I feel like they would just take the lazy Ubisoft route and just turn it into a giant map with 1,000 markers on it. And I don't want that. Please don't do that. Just give me like a focused, handcrafted world to explore with like cool hidden things to discover and collectibles to find with satisfying, like responsive combat. I feel like that's not a lot to ask. I don't know. Maybe it is, but either one of those I would totally take. I just really want to go back into the Castlevania universe. Like having the animated show on Netflix has been fantastic because at least it's something. At least I got something, you know, but just give me a game. I want another game.
I would say that Bloodstained Curse of the Moon and Ritual of the Night have definitely scratched that itch though.
Sure.
I think that's the biggest reason, because I'm a huge Castlevania nut, as you know. And that's the biggest reason I took it off I kept it off my list, is just because I think Koji Igarashi has, and the people who he's associated himself with, have just, I think they've really hit that sweet spot. Mm-hmm. Now I get what you're saying though. I'd love to see another Castlevania game that was good.
Right.
But that's why I didn't have it on my list personally, because I think there are properties that are accomplishing what Castlevania is doing very, very well at the moment, and hopefully that continues, but you never know. And Konami is Konami, and Konami is the worst.
True.
Number 1.
All right, my number 1. It's F-Zero. Do I need to say anything more?
That was almost on my list.
I just think, like, Wipeout's a fine game series, I'm sure, but there's nothing that for me has been exhilarating for the futuristic racer than an F-Zero game in terms of track design. Whether it's like you go back to the Super Nintendo with the original, or the N64 with F-Zero X, or Sega with F-Zero GX. There's just something about those games that is just more striking and fun and made me feel good more than any other futuristic racer. I just have like this feeling that as much as there are Wipeout fans that will tell you that it's better than F-Zero. And I know there's someone listening to this right now who knows I'm taking a shot at them right now. And if you do, reach out to me in my DMs because you know. But there's no personality in the Wipeout games. And there's no personality in a lot of these futuristic racers. F-Zero has fucking personality. It has personality, and it still had that fast, furious, futuristic racing that you got from all these other imitators. And I think if Nintendo incorporated their unique way of injecting personality into these games, again, don't put fucking Mario in a fucking space cruiser. Please don't do it. But what I'm saying is make it personable. Have crazy cartoonish people driving these vehicles like Captain Falcon again, or so many of the characters you had in GX and X, and just do that and make fully customizable racers and have so many different GP modes or something that would take you on a circuit. And I'm just looking at this and I'm like, why haven't you done it? And Miyamoto's like, because I can't think of a unique way to do it. Well, that fucking killed Star Fox, okay? Stop thinking about unique ways to do things and killing things that people love just because your ego won't allow you to. Give it to fucking Sega or Namco again. For fuck's sake, this isn't a hard decision. It's an arcade racing game. You don't need to throw in a gimmicky mechanic. It's press A and vroom. That's it. That's all you have to do. F-Zero is my number one pick. And fuck you, Nintendo, for not making it.
F-Zero, go burr.
Yes. Burr.
Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be able to match that energy. I might be able to, but my number one, the top of my list, was something that I had to not totally spoil when you definitely fucking brought it up like 10 minutes ago. It's fucking Silent Hill. All right. So listen. All right. Some real talk here, right? So I know that there's some folks out there. Maybe you're listening right now. Maybe it's you that actually like some of the later releases in the Silent Hill series. Shattered Memories seems to get brought up often in that regard. And that's cool. I don't give a shit though. I just don't. Like, as far as I'm concerned, when Team Silent was no longer involved with the project, I no longer cared. And I'll even give Silent Hill 4 The Room a pass because while it's not nearly on the same level as the first 3 entries in the series, at least it was trying to do something different. And, truth be told, I enjoyed my time with it. Okay, fair enough. I want to make something abundantly crystal clear, though. I do not want a new Silent Hill just for the sake of having one. I don't want to be disappointed again. What the series needs is someone, or more accurately, a group of someones, who actually understand what made the original games so good. It is not just about, hey, look at creepy monster. Are you scared now? It shake head real fast. Just fucking no. And on that note, by the way, this obsession with Pyramid Head and trying to shove him into anything Silent Hill related is
makes sense, right?
Precisely what I'm talking about. It is a fundamental misunderstanding of the lore of Silent Hill. Pyramid Head had a very express purpose for existing in Silent Hill 2 and was inextricably interwoven into and a manifestation of part of James Sunderland's guilt-ridden psyche. He is not just there as a faceless boogeyman that can be inserted wherever you fucking feel like it. So
fucking nurses.
Game devs, that actually was important though. Still, that scene was important.
I know it was. It was. Just every other game, it's not.
No, it's not. So listen, all those game devs that are definitely listening to this right now, if you're planning on trying to make a fucking Silent Hill game and at any point putting Pyramid Head crosses your mind, you're not the right person for the project. Okay? I just want to get that out there right now. That's why my hopes were actually so high with PT because I felt like they had potentially the right people. Motherfucking Guillermo del Toro was supposed to be involved with that, and it could have been so good. It could have been the next Silent Hill game that the fans actually really wanted. And then that whole just fucking fell right apart. And so, you know what, Chris, you're right. I don't know if we'll actually ever get another one that is worthy of this series moniker. I'm not sure. I would be fucking ecstatic if we did, but that's why it's at my number one, because though there are still games that have come out under the Silent Hill name, to me, that series is dead as fuck. And it deserves to be revived, but it needs to be done with care.
Poor Silent Hill. I kept that off my list because I wanted you to have all the words on it. But you're right.
Thank you.
So there's our list.
All right.
There's our list of dead franchises we want to revive. There's probably a ton we would have honorable mentions for, but we could only keep it to 5.
True.
And if you want to nominate a topic, if you want to vote on topics, just head on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/retrohangover. And that's where you can join the Patreon, but more importantly, join our Discord, which is part of our Linktree link, which is linktr.ee/retrohangover. And you can join our Discord, which is open to the public.
It is.
And if you're a patron, you can nominate any episode idea you want to for this flight. So we hope you consider that. If not, you're getting this, you're enjoying this. At least we hope so. And Shane, I probably stole a bunch of your thunder, but I'll kick it back over to you.
No, that's fine. I needed time to cool down. So it's, you covered me on that one. So, if you want to get me real fucking riled up, just become a patron and then suggest top 5 reasons why Silent Hill sucks. And I will love you forever. Yeah. But anyway, no, I think Chris actually covered most of it. So hit up that Linktree Linktree/retrohangover. That'll get you where you need to go as long as it's related to us. And I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. You kind of covered it. I don't even know what to do now. How do we stop this? Where do we go from here?
I don't know. Twitch.tv/retrohangover. We stream it Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern time, where we're probably playing a lunar game or something. I don't know. Just stop by there. We're playing a game, and I hope to see you there. Back to you, Shane.
All right. Well, I suppose with all of that being screeched into the microphone, until next time,
play with your pyramid head driving a futuristic racer fucking a nurse dinosaur joysticks.